So I realized that a lot of people I know are getting into the game, and I didn't want to have to do my whole spiel at the start of the game that I give people for settings, so I decided to record it. So there's a bunch of character configuration and normal settings that we can go through. We're going to start with system because it's system. So sound. Again, this is largely up to you. I personally have music when mounted off and normal battle music off, just so it keeps the same music most of the time. But again, up to you. All this is up to you. I have sound effects turned down a bit and BGM turned down a tiny bit, just because it's loud. The game is loud. And speaker volume. I would turn this off unless you want your controller to make extremely loud noises at you. If you want that, be my guest. And there's some bass. Ooh, whoa. Actually, I don't even know what those are. Probably should mess with that at some point. But this controller, have vibration on so you know when you're being yelled at to go for a duty. I would have these on window zoom and stuff so you can actively edit your window size. Oh, that's how that works. Well, turn that on because I know that existed until the second. Whoops. For button customization, I would have everything as is, but I have L3 and R3 instead of their base functions, which are largely useless and you'll never use. Unless you want to, I guess. I would have execute macro 98 and 99. That gives you 2 extra buttons to play with while doing stuff, and I'll explain what they are later on. Use touchpad as mouse. Again, I just have all of these on. I think this is base. Yeah, I have all of these on. So when you're done with that, go down, hit apply, just so it saves. Oh, oops. So mouse settings. I think I know how this works. If you know how those work, please tell me in the description and I will maybe make a second video explaining it. But I don't play mouse, so I don't know how it works. This is only for PS4 Pro, PS4 Standard. I would recommend, if you have the frame rate option for PS4 Pro, go with the frame rate option. You will notice it far, far more than any visual improvements. Draw quality I have on high so I can see fancy landscapes. User interface size. They changed this way back because of just some rendering stuff and it screwed stuff up, so they had a band-aid fix for it. I would have it set to 100% in a large system UI so that the settings menu, so everything else is normal size, but the settings menu isn't tiny. For default UI size, this changes all of your default UI. It starts at 140. I would dial it down to 120 or even lower. This depends on your screen and what's most visible for you. I would try and unclutter your screen as much as possible while still keeping things clean and readable, in my opinion. This is up to you. I have this normal. Theme settings. This is super up to you. This was not a thing when I started playing, so I have it on dark theme, but some people have it on light theme. It's up to you. For other, I have my auto AFK at 10 minutes. A cutscene audio English. Again, up to you. I like English. Just because I like the voices. Idle camera, whether you want that on or off. And display, whether you're in G-pose mode. Again, up to you. So I'll close out of that. Don't forget to hit apply if you've made any changes. Go to character config. Whoa. We're going to go to the base settings. So, first thing we have is control. I would turn off clicking on self. Trust me, it will get annoying. And you want clicking on field to remove target. That's very helpful. All this I have as... This is just mouse targeting it. The mouse targeting still works on certain things, just for the other stuff, because it like uses the touchpad. See, I'm like moving my mouse around. So just make sure you have those settings on at least. Oh, that's mouse. Whoops, I was on the wrong thing. General. You want legacy if you're on a controller. What standard does is it makes it so that your character, so I'll show you. So at legacy type, I'm spinning my character, my character is not spinning. However, the left stick, I can position it independently, or a little confusing, but you know, while I'm moving my camera. So that means that say there's a gaze attack, I don't want to look at the boss. I can simply tap my controller backwards, start moving away a little, and my character is moving away and looking away. If you had it on standard, the character face will depend on where your camera is facing. This is super useful on mouse because you can very quickly spin your camera around to look away or gaze at stuff. But I personally think that it is largely useless on controller, and you would have you'd have more success just moving your character with the left stick, because otherwise you'll have to spin. So unless you want to have your sensitivity on super high, and yeah, you get the picture. So back to configuration. I have flying mount. I have the fly auto dive on. I have takeoff on jump. You want to be able to take off as fast as possible, because oftentimes you're like running between hunts and stuff. You want to be moving fast. You don't want any extra steps. Direct chat, that turns on the chat. Turn it on. It's very helpful. Cutscene skipping. This is a very helpful thing, because a lot of people starting up are like, have I seen this cutscene before? I can't remember. With cutscene skipping, you will never have to wonder, because it will tell you, because if the cutscene's playing, you haven't seen it yet. So I have skip playback of previously viewed scenario and transportation. That means that whenever I see a new cutscene, if it's playing, I watch it, because that means I haven't seen it. And if I've already seen it, I won't see it in the first place. So it's very easy. Housing cutscenes, I would turn on, but I don't actually know what housing cutscenes are. Never seen one. I think they might like play when you like build something in your estate, like engineering lab or something. Again, they're so rare that it really doesn't matter. So you want to see them when they pop up, probably, I guess. I have these set to base, but again, up to you. I have this off just because otherwise when you zoom in all the way or go into first person mode, it can be disorienting. I like looking at my character's face. However, that does for some reason still activate when you're on a mount. Don't know why, but it does. Camera effects, yeah, you have those on. That's like camera shake and stuff. It's fun. Sometimes there's big things that cause explosions and you want your camera to shake because it's badass. Like, you want those on. These rates, yeah, leave them as is or change look at target when speaking. Again, up to you. I have that on. For target, I have lock on target off. You do not want to ever lock on because it sucks and it makes you move slow. That's what the old L3 menu is that I told you to set to a macro instead. It's pretty much useless. The old R3 put you in first person. Again, pretty useless. This is a third person game. There's not really a reason to be in first person. Face target when using actions and auto target when no target specified. I would have those on. That means when you're using an AoE, it'll attack something in the group. It'll lock on something if you don't have anything set. If you have face target when using actions, some actions are dependent on you facing the target. You want to face your target. I have this off so I can target minions or pets when in battle because it's helpful in certain situations. And I have this off because I actually have no idea what it is. Target circle to target select. Yeah, I have it off. I've ignored depth for the tab target. On a controller, that's if you're holding down your hotbar for R2 or L2. When you're holding that down, R1 tabs target right, L1 tabs target left. Ignore depth means it just goes across your screen rather than going in a weird cone from you, which is confusing. The ground targeting, this is useful for certain abilities. I have it on L1, L, and the left stick to move. I think you can fuck with it, but I just like it having it like that. And I have that set. For highlight potential targets, I have off, and the other stuff I have on. This is just filter stuff that you can kind of screw with. So for your main filters, this makes it so when your weapon is out, you can only toggle between enemies and like objects in it. I find that super helpful. So I would have it be like that. So you don't oh, I'm trying to tab target between friends and it's targeting, between enemies and it's targeting my co-tank. You don't want that, so turn that off. This is up to you. You can have this on if you want. This makes it so with your weapon drawn, it'll change what your which hotbars are active. You can do that if you want, but I personally don't. Display headgear. It displays headgear. Manually adjust visor. It just you can alter that through your through either commands in the menu or through your character screen. Display main and off hand gear when sheathed, that's up to you. Or auto sheath weapon when not in battle. I like keeping my weapon out so I can pose with it. It's fun. Idle animation delay. It's how long before you go into an idle animation. You can also set it to randomize if you don't want to set the one you like, because there's a few you could toggle between. I like one, so I just keep it on that. Battle effect settings. This is very important. You want own all. You want to see your own actions. They look cool. For party, you want show limited. Even if you want to see your party's actions, it can make it, and especially in higher level duties, it can make it very visually confusing, and hurt your focus. It also hurts your frame rate, especially if you're on a PS4. For others, show none. Trust me, you want show none. Otherwise, you'll be in a hunt with like 50 other people, and there'll be giant explosions everywhere, and your game will chug, and you will hate life. So, yeah. Between all of these, feel free to go down and hit apply to save. Mouse selection, again, I don't use a mouse, so I don't really have the authority to talk about this. Item settings. You want all newly obtained items to go to the armory chest, and you want all newly crafted items to go in your inventory. And you want to be able to see what you can equip or not. Other than that, this really doesn't need to be edited at all, in my opinion. So we'll go on to UI settings. This is some big stuff. So controller type mode or mouse type mode for the main menu. You want whatever you're using. I would just have these on the base, so close on active, no restore map, and font size large for the map so you can see. Map transparency, again, up to you. Item help. This shows the information of items. There's no reason not to have this, frankly. I don't really. You always want that. Enable toggling between NQ and so normal quality and high quality text. Have that on. You can have it on control or alt or shift, but it's always L2 on controller. Help text toggling is again R2. Action help, again, is your tooltips. You want that on. You want to read it. Pop-up help, I would have it on. It really does help you at active help windows. Recommendations, I would turn off show upon login upon area has changed. Otherwise, they just pop up constantly. It gets kind of annoying. Achievements nearing completion as login notification. Again, I don't find it very helpful. HUD. You want to display flying text. You want it maximum. You want to be able to see it. Pop-up text and pop-up text size. You also want maximum, in my opinion. Parameter bars and XP bars, I would have them up. Inventory grid is that little thing in your corner. It shows what you have in your inventory. It's useless. It's honestly useless. You don't need it. You should turn it off. It just clutters up your screen. Duty list, I would have on and set it to 5 so you can see the amount of quests you have. However, I would have it hide during instance duty so your quests aren't clogging up your screen when you're in a dungeon or a raid. During a non-instance though, it's up to you whether you want it. There are not really many of those anyway. Register duties and timers, you want that. You want to be able to see that. And duty registration details and timers is also fine. All this other stuff you want server info on. You want Eorzea time and local time. Server time, it's up to you. Sometimes people use it, but it's generally Eorzea and local you want to see. You want to see what time it is, and you want to see what time it is in game. This shows which world you're in. Pretty useful. Limit gauge, you want this active. You want to be able to see your limit gauge. Display main scenario guide. This is up to you. I personally have it off because I'm used to the... I started playing the game before it was implemented, and I'm used to the muscle memory of toggling through my UI elements without it. But if you are starting out, it's useful for figuring out where you are in the story. And if you can get used to it, that's fine. So I would have it active if you're a new player. Would highly recommend that. For target information, don't have display only detrimental effects you inflict on. You won't be able to see when certain debuffs that are important are up, like Trick or Chain Stratagem. You want to see those, so make sure that is off. Overhead name display. I would just have your full name, but I actually have it off. Display enmity list and progress bar and focus target information. Again, I would have that on. HP percentage, you want that on so you can cry when you wipe at 0.01%, trust me. So go down, hit apply, go over to party list. So for this, I would just have this on, status at 5 so it doesn't clutter your screen too much. Alliance 1 and 2. You'll want to move these in HUD settings because they'll be at a really awkward position. Just put them where you like. I have mine on the bottom right. I have these on the default because I find that having it be aligned with most other players is useful. But if you don't play a tank, it might be helpful for you to have it and set up a different way. Display name settings. So I have my own display name set to never. I don't like seeing my own name. I find it distracting. So I have full name, but it doesn't matter because it's not there. My HP is below so I can see my own health bar when my HP is below 100%. I find that useful so I can tell what my HP is like without looking down at the bottom of my hotbar. Companions, again, I display their name, but HP is below 100%. Same. Pets, same way. For others though, for party members, I have their display name as initials. That means that when I'm in a party with someone, I can only see their initials, which unclutters my screen a lot. I also hide their titles in order to further unclutter my screen. The rest of that I have set. For Alliance members, I have full name. You don't really see them. I probably could change it to initials. It could be kind of helpful to know, like, oh, who's that fucker in the other party who's, you know, trying to tank the boss and failing. You know what I mean. I have title for show for them. Other PCs, I have always full name, show title. I think this is just the base. I like seeing other people's titles and stuff. For friends, it's the same way. The friends base color is going to be kind of weird. I would change, or I think it might not be friends. It's party members. That's different. Change these colors as you like. Just make them so you can tell the difference between them easily. NPCs, I don't think I changed any of these. For general, I also don't think I changed any of these. So I would just leave them on their defaults. So hit apply. We're going to hotbar settings. This is the big one. So, display recast times, you want that active. Hide unassigned slots, you also want that active. But sometimes you might want to turn it off temporarily in order to set things on PC hotbars for display on controller. You'll notice I have some on the side of my hotbar. If I have that on, you'll see it shows all the numbers. I don't need those, but it's useful to look at. Unassigned slots, safe, boop. Useful for placing stuff on them, not useful otherwise. Drag and drop positioning, yeah, I have all of these on. I have a few, again, these are the main PC hotbars. I have just a few of them on that I use for display, which are different types. Again, up to you. Use these for display, especially on controller. If you're using a PC, these are your main hotbars. I don't know enough about them to really talk about them, but I'm sure there are different hotbar guides for PC players. For a pet hotbar, you want display only cross hotbar, and you want automatically replace cross hotbar 1 with pet hotbar when mounted. There's some quests that use it. It's, yeah. For sharing, these are ones that will be shared for all your hotbars. Shared means that it will be the same on all classes. I would have, for the PC hotbars that I use for displays, I have all of them unshared, so they're class specific, except for 10. 10 is what I have sprint on. So you can see it looks like a little running icon to the right of my hotbar. That way I can always tell what timer sprint is, because it's a 60-second timer, and it's pretty useful. For cross hotbar, now this is the hotbar you'll actually be using on controller. I have all of them shared except for 1, 4, and 5. So 1, 4, and 5 will be the hotbars that I will use for classes. Everything else is different. So yeah, I'll close that window. Let me just show you. So I have all of these hotbars. You'll see 1, 4, and 5 don't have a outline. Those are the class specific ones. All the other ones are like my job switches, emotes, mounts, crafter jobs, and just general menu stuff. While my main actions are on 1, 4, and 5. So I'll reopen character config. So I would have that up. For cross hotbar settings, enable cross hotbar. Obviously, you want this active. Always display it. And this is the big thing. Display hotbar help. Hotbar help on or off. As a new player, I would have it on for a bit. It will tell you what your actions are. It will display the names of them. I don't think it's applying, but yeah, I don't have it on because I've memorized what all my actions look like. I would, when you first start the game, I would have it on. I would wean yourself off it because it unclutters your screen. The rest of these I have on. Display control guide, turn off, because it again, it's not displaying, but it'll show little like triangle, circle, square, X, left, right, bottom, down, bottom left, or whatever. Up, I'm speaking, but they'll show those. You don't need them because you know what they go to, because it's a no-brainer. Transparency, again, up to you. I have it on hold. I find toggle and mixed can be frustrating, but again, that's something that's really dependent on you and what works for you. I have the base setting there. For cross hotbar, some people always have the cross hotbar active. It's like a second hotbar you can access with double tap. So you see I'm double tapping. Mine's invisible generally, but some people have them visible but like just off to the side. You also can position it separately. So if I toggle this, I could set the hotbar so it's right over my old hotbar. My sister does this. I find it confusing though. I just keep it as is. That's totally up to you. And I would also have returned to the cross hotbar after double cross hotbar. W cross input, have that off. You want to be staying on it when you want to, even if it can be frustrating. Sometimes I tap this up to 35% to make it easier to activate. For custom, here is the most important part as a controller player. You need to know how to use these in order to get the most out of your buttons. Expanded hold controls you want on. However, you want the cross hotbar. So I personally have these both. That means when I press L2 and R2 together, they both go the same place. You can make it so that the order of them goes to different places. I have them going to the same place just because I feel that I don't need the extra buttons and it's useful to get to the same spot. Again, that is up to you, but definitely have this active, definitely utilize it in some way. I have those since it said that it was from 4. That means that, let me show you. When I go like that, it's sourcing these from a different hotbar. It's sourcing them from hotbar 4. So if I press R1 to activate this little window and go to 4, you'll see there they are. There are the buttons. That's where they're gotten from. If you are setting them, you need to actually navigate over to this hotbar to set things to it. You can't, when you're in hotbar edit mode with the R2 or L2 and the touchpad, it'll activate this. You pick them up and drop them. You cannot activate, see I'm pressing R2 and L2 at the same time, I'm double tapping them, it doesn't happen. You need to edit those outside and normally go between them with this control, which is R1 and the corresponding hotbar. You don't have to press R1 to cycle willy-nilly, but you know. I have mine on left because I forgot to put them on right. You can have it on right or left. It really doesn't matter. It's just sourcing them. For that context of that, for my double cross, right and left, those are sourced from 5. So you'll see, look, there they are. There they are. That's where those are coming from. So let's go back to character configuration. So I have enabled directional buttons because I like having this for the double cross. Those extra buttons are very helpful and it's easy to not mess them up. Cross hotbar 5 left, cross hotbar 5 right. Again, it doesn't actually matter if it's 5. It's just the one I chose to use. But just make sure you have those 2 extra hotbars to source things from for the shared. Auto hotbar switching when drawing sheathed weapon, I don't have a customization for that. It's really, yeah, I don't change it. That's up to you if you want to screw around with that and like it. Hit apply, those are the most important things. So double tap brings up those, holding down both will go here. And if I turn that on to go to different places, holding down R2 then L2 would go to one place, and L2 then R2 would go to a different place. Log window settings, we're near the end. Turn off your profanity filter, like just turn it off. You want these 2 top options on. Error messages, actions fail, turn this off, oh my god, turn it off. So many people have this on and it drives me insane because you see them because you want to spam your buttons in order to make them activate properly. If you have recast timer error and error messages and actions fail, it will make a loud noise whenever you do anything and it's not ready yet, and it will display this little thing in the middle and it will drive you insane, and I don't understand how people don't get driven insane who still have it active. So turn all 4 of these options off. Log window item linking is useful. I would have it on. Timestamp settings, again, have those on. Log filters, you can just customize these to your liking. I personally like general having everything, and then battle having battle event. I have these unset. FCIs have another one that's just for FC chat if I want to look at that for some reason. Log details, I think I have these all just set. You can change the font size as you want. I think I made it a little smaller. Notification sounds. I would just have tell on, so you know when you get tell. Otherwise you get like dinged whenever anyone says anything and it gets irritating. So that's again up to you. So with that, you can hit apply and you're done with the settings. However, I'm going to show you one more thing, which is helpful. One is user macros. So you can set a lot of macros that do a lot of different things. You can find online guides for how to write these very easily. I'm not going to go through and tell you about all of them. You'll just notice that in a lot of them, they spam the same thing a lot. That's because macros do not queue like other actions do. And in order to get them to go off, you want them to repeat a lot of times to simulate that queuing. And you want to spam the living shit out of them. I probably should make sprint have more repeats. What these do, these are those, remember I told you way back at the start, you should set L3 and R3 to have macro 98 and 99. These are them. I don't know about you, but I've played a lot of games where I sprint using the left stick. So I made the left stick sprint. And the macro for that's really simple. It's /AC, which is action cast, space, sprint with caps with the apostrophe. Whatever is in those apostrophes needs to be exactly as the ability is written in game. And then that outside arrow, me right arrow just says who it's targeting. I don't think you actually need that for sprint, but I have it on anyway. That makes it so that when I press R3, I sprint. Yay, it's very helpful. For R3, I have it target my focus target. You'll notice, so for that it's /target, the targeting thing, F. That just means focus target. What that means is, say I'll target my otter, so I'll say focus target. Okay. So I can see my focus target now has a little thing. I can see it. If it had a health bar, I could see the health bar. And that means that if I press R3, I'm targeting it, which is incredibly helpful if you're healing. I like just focusing targeting either the tank or the boss, so I can easily get back to them on controller. Again, that is up to you, but I find it extremely helpful. The last thing I would go over is HUD layout. So what HUD layout? So you have a bunch of different ones. You can customize where they're set up. I would do that. I would move around your other hotbars and stuff to create those windows on the side that you can track things on. Those are the hotbars 1 through 10. The cross hotbar is its own thing. So you can see they're kind of all over the place, but I like their positioning for tracking things. You can use the virtual mouse, which is L1, no, that's not right. L1, R3 activates virtual mouse. It will show you you can use the right stick to move your mouse around. L2 is the left click, R2 is right click, L1, R3 again exits virtual mouse mode. You will use that. So if I go to actions, where's my actions? I can never remember where my actions are. Oh my god, where are my actions? Actions, okay, I forgot. So you can normally say set by just pressing square, but if you want to set it on one of those PC hotbars, you have to drag and drop it. So I go into virtual mouse mode, I have it, I say, okay, I'll pick up Nebula. I've now picked it up. I'm going to place it with pressing L2 again. R2 can right click and delete it. I'm not going to place it, but that's how you do it. That's what I usually generally turn on the display, the hotbars, and those I toggle on and off sometimes, just so I can see where I'm putting things. That's it. So back to HUD layout. The main thing that I would mess with is your target bar. This normally displays at the top of your screen. I find it very distracting to have it way up there when you're looking at your hotbar often in order to track your abilities. You will mess up more. So I instead have it in the middle of your screen so you can see the boss's health and what they're casting. There's some other things you can do where, so see target bar, there's actually another thing. You can change the size of it. For all of these you can do stuff like this. You can also separate their individual elements and move them around. So the progress bar means the target's cast bar, essentially. You can display that and make it fucking giant, so you can see what they're casting. I know a few people that do that because it helps them track abilities and mechanics that are happening. But again, it's up to you. The other thing I have is focus target. I have off to the left like that. You can change where anything is. Alliance list 1 and 2. These will be like in a weird position at top at first. I would just move them down here because you have nothing down here. Then you can easily see what's going on. Status effects. These are your own status effects. These normally display on top of the screen, and again, for the same reasons that the boss, target bar being on top of the screen is frustrating. This is as well. So because of that, you want it to be down right above your hotbar. I find that to be the most helpful. There's some other things you can do, such as displaying it as 3 groups or justifying it differently. Mess with this on your own, figure out what you like the best. I made them larger so I could see them easier. Again, screw around with your hotbar. Your hotbar is yours. I'm saying what might be helpful, but do what works for you. That's the most important thing. Do what makes the gameplay as smooth to you as possible. All this, so powder gauge, so you see this is your job specific gauge. They'll be named different things depending. You can move that around as much as you want. Limit gauge I have up near the top left like it normally is, but again, you can move it as much as possible. So those are the base settings that I would recommend. The only thing that I would say is hit your buttons. Hit your buttons. Make sure your GCD is rolling.